Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, 3.5 million people last year had to go without electric pay as you go for an hour, a morning, an afternoon, a night, a day, 7 days, a month. Some people still haven't turned their electric back on all now. Right, from times like October, November, they haven't turned their electric on, they haven't turned their gas on because they can't. Have you ever wondered why though? It is that because this I'm talking about pay as you go people now because they've made and they've forced an extra 600,000 people onto pay as you go with the current utility cost, because obviously people can't afford to pay it. So the utility companies are like, well, you can't afford to pay it. What we're going to do is we're going to put the most expensive system into your house, right? And if you don't allow us to, we'll get a court order and we'll break into your house and then we'll do it then. But we have to wonder why it is, yeah, that people who pay prepay, why do they pay the most? Theirs is the most expensive. Prepay is the most expensive, right? And who does prepay affect the most? It affects, yeah, the less well off, the working classes, the lower classes. I know there's rich people and middle class people who pay prepay, but on the whole, it's for people who are on the lowest forms of the lowest incomes. So you have to say, well, why is it they're allowed to do that to people? Well, of course they are, because we've had governments, right, who just look over and say, yep, to these companies, don't worry about anything else, right? Just take the piss out of those people. Don't worry about anything. Just take the piss out of them, right? Whatever, if you want to charge them the highest price, then you go ahead and do that, because those people are a bunch of jackasses, right? And they deserve every single thing they get. That's what the government's saying. That's not what I'm saying. Well, actually, I do say that. But I say that for different reasons. I say that because you people are a bunch of racist motherfucking fools who have let this country get into this situation. Okay? That's why I say that. But the government's saying that because you people are a bunch of fucking jackasses. Right? You people who vote for the Tories, who have voted for the Tories all this time, right? You voted, you looked at Jeremy Corbyn and said, we're going to go with Boris Johnson. We're going to go with the clown, right? Because you know what? We've seen that, that Zelensky, he's a very, very good leader and he was a comedian. So why don't we vote for the clown? No. It was always a mistake to do something so stupid, right? Because Boris Johnson has come, Boris Johnson came along and done most of, I can't say most of, a lot of, right, what we're suffering right now. Right, but just saying about them being allowed to take the piss out of the, you say, well, why is that allowed to happen? For example, right, if you was to say you haven't got, your credit's not too good, but you need a new car, I said to you, right, look, there's finance companies who are lending, who will lend the money, so you can borrow the money from them. There's plenty of finance companies out there who will do that. Right? But they'll say to you, okay, look, we got a car here, it's 12 grand. Right? You give us, right, we'll do it cheap for you, cheap finance, £150 over 10 years. You think, £150 over 10 years? Wow, 12 grand motor. Okay, fair enough. Right, but first of all, what you got to think about, right, that 12 grand motor, right, is really an 8 grand motor on the forecourt. But because you're paying, because they've looked and said, you know what, you can pay this finance really cheap, you get really cheap for you. Because they know to themselves, you know what, this is going to stretch out to not too bad for us. So like, well, okay, yeah, that 12 grand motor is really an 8 grand motor on the forecourt. But the minute you drive it off the forecourt, it's now worth about £6,000. And now you've driven that off the forecourt. Right, you've only made one payment, so you still got like nearly 10. You still got just under 10 years, right, of paying £150 for a car that's worth 6 grand. Right, so let me do some quick mental arithmetic. So £150 over, what's that? 120 months. So that works out to what? 12 grand more, £18,000. So £18,000 you've paid for a £6,000 motor. Yeah, you're going to pay it over 10 years, right? And they've made it look to you, oh, it's nothing. £150 a month, nothing. Whereas if you was a rich person or a well-to-do person, right, you go and get finances, you get you get a deal over a couple of years. Right? But once you are, right, paying that pay as you go, or you have to use these type of finance companies, they just hit you up, they just smack you to pieces. And that's the reason why when you people with your racist motherfucking stupid ass self is voting for the Tories, someone will say, you deserve what you motherfucking fools get. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages to me. A special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. Oh, I forgot to say that, my videos are going to be shorter, but, they're going to be a lot more of them. So I'm hoping to do like one, maybe two a day. Right, but we're going to start with the Brazilian insurrection, because you saw that, and that's a direct result of Donald Trump, right? When you're going around and telling people that elections can be stolen, well, this is the type of result, right? But I think that Brazilian justice is going to be a lot quicker than anybody else's justice. I think the police officers and politicians who was involved, I reckon they're probably going to be rounded up very, very quickly and all thrown into prison, because I think Brazil is going to show America how, right, a country should actually deal with an insurrection. But I always say to people, look, if you're going to have an insurrection in your country, and don't. But if you're going to do that, right, you need to make sure that the army and the police are behind you. Or otherwise, right, you're going to fail in your insurrection. It's not going to work. You see what happened in America? I mean, in America, right, and even, the people in America have got guns, but there wasn't enough of them. And that's the problem. And then we've got like Jeff Beck, who has passed away, who was once hailed the greatest guitarist in the world. He's up there with all Eric Clapton and all them, right? But he insured his apparently his fingers and his thumbs was insured for £7 million at one stage. I said, well, hold on a minute. What about the rest of the palm? Doesn't the palm have no insurance on it? But apparently it was his fingers and his thumbs, apparently, right? And then we've got Andrew Bridgen, who has been sacked by the Tories, I reckon Rishi Sunak has had a lot to do with this, because I reckon that this man has been a thorn in Rishi Sunak's side, and Rishi Sunak really just said, you know what, I just need to get rid of this fool, right? And and I don't think, right, there's any coming back for Andrew Bridgen, but that fucking square-headed fool, right, has had far too much power, right, for someone, who is a complete incompetent politician. I mean, if you could tell me one thing Andrew Bridgen has done that's been good, can't think of any, nor can I. NHS workers have been told by a Tory MP, you need to work harder. You need to pull your fucking fingers out. This is the nurses he's talking to. Work harder, right? And make yourself more productive if you want more money. So what the fuck are these factory workers? But that's the level of the cheek from the Tories, right? Remember, just a couple of months ago, right, these people was outside clapping for them. These people was heroes. And now they've gone from hero to villain, right, in a minute. Right? All because they're saying, you know something, right, our conditions, right, that we have to work in are terrible. And you need to change our conditions. But these people are like, oh, how dare these people, right, ask for more money, even though we keep promising them, a high wage, right, society, right, a high wage, they keep on telling us, right, that, we're working towards a high wage economy. But the minute the nurses say, listen, we just need a lot more staff, right, and, because the cost of living, we need some more, shut up, keep your mouth closed. Right? You're not working hard enough. Make yourself more productive. How the fuck can these politicians get away with that? Only a Tory politician could come out with something like that. Because you know something? Not one of them, right, have any social conscience. And you can always tell that by the way how they vote. Rishi Sunak has made a complete fool of himself. Right, because Rishi Sunak is trying to he's trying to go down the Boris Johnson line. The other day he was asked about his healthcare, and If Rishi Sunak, right, does not have private healthcare, right, he needs a good cuff in the back of his head. Sorry to all the white folks. That would be a good clip around the air hole. This guy, right, is just taking, right, it's not that he's got private healthcare. It's the reason that he's dancing around the question. He's dancing around the question because he knows that the NHS is in such a fucking state. Right, and he knows that, right? So he won't admit to say, well, it's not for me to talk about my own private healthcare. But yes, then as a parliament, he had to come out and say, yes, look, sis, no, I've got private. Well, of course, we all know you've got private healthcare. Why do you need to dance around the question like some type of fucking jackass, right? And that's, right, is the issue now. It's not the issue that he's got private healthcare, because you know what? In 1987, Margaret Thatcher turned around and said, yo, what do you expect me to do? Sit around with all the fucking dickheads, right? Waiting for the NHS. No, I've got private healthcare. Margaret Thatcher done said that in 1987. And that's 2 years before that story I was talking about yesterday. How the woman's husband died in 1989 because of the cuts in the NHS. Right? And Margaret Thatcher in 1987 was saying straight up, yeah, I've got private healthcare. What do you want me to do? Sit there with a load of fucking fools? Right? We can't expect, I don't even know why they need private healthcare. It's not like they actually need it, because, if the Prime Minister needed to go to A&E, right, would you seriously expect the Prime Minister to be sat there with his with police officers with guns, right, and all his prime ministerial aides as well, right, plus members of his family and all that type of thing, because you know what, he's cut his finger while he was cooking food in his kitchen. You wouldn't expect to see the Prime Minister there? Of course not. It's madness that they've got it anyway. I'm already 2 minutes over. But let's speak about some Brexit quickly. Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak still refuse to speak about Brexit. Wouldn't you? Yeah, because I would. UK science will need a realistic focus if UK science is blocked by the EU from their science schemes, because they done block us from Horizon. So if they're blocked from any more, or if they don't let us back in Horizon, then they're saying, something, we have to have a next focus on how we're going to do this shit. But already our scientists are so far behind because they've already been blocked out for the last how long, because Britain is not playing ball with certain things, and the EU's just like, well, if you don't do what we tell you to do, then this is going to happen, and you won't be allowed in this part of our union. Okay, so you do it. And support for leaving the EU has significantly fallen. Who gives a shit? Right? Support's fallen. Right? We're already out. Right? These people are under some illusion that, the EU is going to say, we need you back because you're British. Right? We need you, right? And something, right? And the reason why we're going to let you back in, and so you can cherry pick everything you want, right? You can have your cake and you can eat it. No, there's no cake on the plate, right? When you say go and get a knife and fork, and when you come back, the plate's empty. There's only crumbs on there. That's it. And those crumbs are the blockages what you're going to face when you try and trade with the EU. That's what those crumbs are, because that's what we've got. There's no cherry picking of anything. We was told that. We were told by Obama, you'll be at the back of the queue, and we still didn't listen. Sadiq Khan today will speak about Brexit. And he'll talk about how we need to get back into the customs union. And I would like to explore that story so much more. But you know what? I'm going to wait until I hear what he's actually got to say. But that's what apparently he's going to be saying today. But anyway, guys, look, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm already 4 minutes over. And I didn't want to go over. But I think the first story, I went for too long on the first story. So I'll remember that in the future. Anyway, guys, look, this, my friends, is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribs. Overtime as usual. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.